Dutch apple pie is known as Crumble de Manzana in Argentina. Introduced by British immigrants, this dessert is delicious. If you're looking for a new apple pie recipe, keep watching. The bottom crust for this Argentine Dutch apple pie is called masa frola because it's used to make not only pasta frola but many other Argentine desserts. It's a soft, sweet, buttery, lemony, crumbly, no-roll pie crust. I already did a video recipe on how to make this Argentine short crust pastry, so I'll be sure to link to that below. For this Argentinian Dutch apple pie, you will need half of one dough recipe, about 300 grams. After pressing the no-roll pie crust into a 9-inch pie plate and sprinkling half a teaspoon of lemon zest into the pie dough, you can start this apple crumble pie recipe. So here I have my apples. I have 750 grams of apple slices. I used golden delicious apples. I peeled them and I cut them into pieces that are about, I would say, 1/4 of an inch thick. And to make sure they didn't turn brown, I put in the juice of 1 small lemon. For Crumble de Manzana, for apple crumble, almost all the recipes in Argentina have you cook the apples with the sugar first before putting them into the tart. So here I have 1 cup of sugar, 210 grams as I measure it. And because I do not want to have to clean a pot on the stove, I am going to put this in the microwave. So I'm going to stir this. And then I'm going to cook it in the microwave covered for, I'm going to say, 5 minutes. The goal is not to completely cook them, it's just to, they say in Argentina, ablandar las manzanas, is just to soften the apples so that they get a little bit of a head start. So I'm guessing that's 5 minutes covered on high, but I will let you know how long it takes. Once this is all combined, I put these in the microwave. I will let you know how long it took. So I had to microwave the apples for 7 minutes. After 5 minutes I stirred them, and most of them were soft but some of them weren't. So then I just gave it a good stir, put it back in for 2 more minutes, and now all the pieces are soft. Usually in Argentina, people will drain off the liquid and then just put the apples into the tart. But in the United States, most American apple pies, you like to use the juice as for the flavor and you try to thicken it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain the apples as best I can. But I'm not going to throw away the juice. What I'm going to do is I'm going to return it to the microwave and try to reduce it by half. So while the juice is reducing in the microwave, I'm going to finish the filling. Here I have my strained apples. They already have the sugar, to which I'm going to add half a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and 20 grams or 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. You do not want to add the cornstarch to the juice because cornstarch likes to mix with cool liquids. So do not add this directly to the hot juice because it's going to be a disaster. If you ever have to use cornstarch to thicken a liquid that is already hot, try making a slurry first. Take a small bit of water and dissolve the cornstarch in the cool to warm temperature water, and then add that mixture to the hot liquid. To make the crumb topping, you will need 150 grams or half a cup of flour, a little over 100 grams, about half a cup sugar, and 1 stick of butter. It's important that the butter is cold, so do not leave it out to soften. You want it to be hard. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to try to mix the butter with the sugar and the flour. So I'm going to probably cut the butter into smaller cubes than this. Once again, if it's cold, it's a lot easier. I'm not gonna lie, making the crumb topping isn't exactly easy. Since it's easier to show rather than to tell how to make the crumb topping for Dutch apple pie, let's fast forward a bit so that I can show you the technique. Take the butter, the pieces of butter, coat them in the flour and the sugar, and then squeeze them between your hands and move your fingers like this. That breaks everything up into the very small peas that we need. Just making sure that you can see what I'm doing with my fingers. Taking the large chunks into my hands. See if there are any big chunks left here. Just massage them around like that, and see they will fall apart. Put them back in, and they will get coated with the flour and the sugar. That is how you make a crumble. So the juice has been reduced down by half. It's now just under 200. It was just under 400. So it's down by half. It took 15 minutes. So 5 minutes, and then I checked it, another 5 minutes, and then another 5 minutes. So 15 minutes. Still kind of hot, and looks like the sugar started to caramelize a little bit. Just what we want. That's a very characteristic flavor for Argentine apple crumble. So I'm just gonna mix this in. It has the cinnamon, the cornstarch, a little bit of salt. This dough is raw. I'm just going to put it into the pie. However, at this point I was honestly a bit worried. I tried some of the caramelized liquid and it was just a bit bitter, so I was afraid that my Dutch apple pie was going to be bitter. However, the finished Dutch apple pie wasn't bitter at all, so I guess it worked out. However, next time what I think I might do is I might soften the apples in the microwave before adding the sugar. However, sugar does help to draw out moisture, so unless you're defrosting frozen apples, you might not get all the liquid out of the apples. Like I said, the final pie wasn't bitter, but I'm still curious how it would be without the burned sugar. I'll have to try that next time. We're just trying to acomodar las manzanas, get the apples into the pie. No, it's not going to be perfect, and it is too late at night to be perfect, to be honest. I'm not going to tell you what time it is. It's very, very late, or very early, however you want to look at it. So, apples are in the pie. I have my crumble. I'm just going to literally crumble this on top. I did not put the crumble back into the refrigerator or anything. I've heard some people say that's a good idea, but at this point it is too late. When you start to hear the birds chirping outside, you know that you should probably go to bed soon. So once this topping is on this pie, I know I'm making a mess, but oh well. Then it will go into the oven, 350. I originally thought that it would take about 45 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, but as you'll see, it ended up taking about an hour. So this apple crumble was in for a bit. I'm guessing a total of an hour. I was doing a little bit of blind baking on the bottom rack when I did this. I did do 2 minutes under the broiler on low, but it didn't really seem to do anything. So I put it back in, and then the magic happened. It puffed up and the top started getting brown like I wanted it to. And I can see over here that some of the filling started to bubble over. So I think maybe it just started to boil inside. And yeah, I think it's pretty much perfect. Even though this Dutch apple pie went in and out of the oven and broiler, I would guess that an hour at 350 is probably what you'll need. As I said in the introduction, my research suggests that this apple crumble is actually of British origin. Another famous Argentine dessert, lemon meringue pie, or as it's called in Argentina, lemon pie, is also supposedly British. Although not nearly as numerous as the Italians or the Spanish, there were still a fair number of British immigrants to Argentina. Many of the English immigrants were businessmen and developers, so a large portion of the Argentine railway network was built by British companies. The names of stations such as Hudson and Banfield reflect the British influence, and when towns grew around stations such as Banfield, the name of the town itself reflected the British influence. A lot of the immigrants lived together in the same neighborhood, and even to this day in Buenos Aires and its suburbs, there are neighborhoods where many of the houses are built in a British style. I'll be talking more about British Argentines in the future, so stay tuned. Whatever the origin, this Dutch apple pie with crumb topping was absolutely incredible. Just as in the other Argentine desserts, I really liked not only the combination of flavors, but also the combination of textures. The crumb topping was especially interesting. It was both soft and crunchy at the same time. Together with the soft apples and the crumbly crust, it was delicious. I also liked how the cinnamon and lemon balanced out the sweetness of the apples. Also, even though I was afraid that the pie would be bitter, maybe since there's sugar in the crumb topping and in the crust, burning the sugar a little bit and making it slightly bitter helps to balance out the sweetness. Like I already said, I'd be interested in seeing how it would taste without burning the sugar, so I'll try that next time. If you want to change it up, you could add maybe a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg or a teaspoon of lemon zest or lemon extract to the filling, but honestly, I thought it was excellent. I could maybe see some cinnamon in the crumb topping, but then I'd be afraid that it would burn and get bitter. As you can see, I'm kind of nervous about burning things and having them turn out bitter. If you've never had Dutch apple pie, please try this Argentine version. I know you'll love it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also, for more information about Southern and Argentine recipes, please visit my website, parnellthechef.com. And don't forget to follow me on social media. I'm especially active on Instagram and Twitter, and if you make one of my recipes and upload a photo, in addition to calling me out with the @ symbol in the post, please also use the hashtag HeyP. Once again, thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye!